even for this as well. So you will have to come with the house C11 wait करो she's coming so you will speak with the lady in the C11 अच्छा तो तुम देखिए जो समझ रही हो हाँ आ गया अच्छा तुम देखिए just a minute फिर हम लोग चले जा सकते हैं हाँ C11 चलो शाम को
since it's just delays and you weren't there, why don't you just come on the table and
yeah, but after like
actually yes. Oh.
अभी अकाउंटेंट है 2 दिन में को अकाउंट अच्छा ठीक है एक अकाउंटेंट है मैंने अकाउंट सुनना है केडी फोटो है अभी केडी फोटो
आप अपना नाम दे दो मैं आपको रिप्लाई करती हूँ
मेरा तो मिल जाएगा आराम से
ये मेरा चला जाए
कोई बात नहीं मैं ठीक हूँ
I know you know what happened. I think I watched it and
अब मेरे को
I should do my best. Yes. You know what happened? This just and just this happened. I washed this and I hand washed it. I hand washed it and there was a phone or something. I didn't dry it. I forgot. I put it. I don't wash this conditioner. Yeah. And then when I dried it, I saw this stain and it's here somewhere. I was so heartbroken. I think I was just good. I thought I'd go up and find out what kind of thing is. So sorry. No, it's a suit.
वो बोलिए ना देखो
One testing. Check. Acha, I could have said here. That's what you said.
you can stand
Actually, let me stand.
yeah this is video will come right now
Yeah. Alisha, where would you want to see? Want to sit here?
yeah I'll just sit
Yeah, sit there. It's going to be easy to look at both of you and Gurdeep,
Gurpreet.
Gurpreet, sorry.
Start over there or here
I should put the phone start here so that
with sitting
No,
okay
I'm standing.
standing okay कोई का
Center. Hello. Good evening, Liz, and good evening, Anisha. I feel very privileged to be talking to both of you exclusively. Yes. And I see I have 50% of your attention and 50% of yours. It makes it total 100%, and where you're maintaining eye contact. So we really can't avoid each other now. So that's the advantage or the disadvantage when you're talking to such a small group. And good to see Gurpreet, and you are?
Ankit.
Ankit.
Oh, sorry. Love.
Love. So please, you're most welcome to be participative in this talk of mine. And if there's anything that you'd like to ask, feel free. So formally, my name is Chandrika, and I am a consultant by profession. I have two verticals under my wing. One is as a business consultant which is into soft skills training and development, and the other is to do with tourism. I have heard many people speak, and I have also had the privilege to interact with a lot of you on a one-to-one basis. And it's been a truly enriching experience. So thank you so much for being here and having this opportunity to exchange ideas, thoughts. They go a long way in making and blending you as a person and preparing you for future. So the topic for today is you are the source, you are the end. I think each one of us has the power to ignite all what we want to do in life. But somewhere we have not realized this deep reality of our life. Let me start by asking all of you a simple question. Do you like being independent? Do you like being independent?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I was wondering if there is a paper and a pen for each one of you, which you can take down. Repeat, can you take a paper and a pen? I want all of you to write the word independence. I want you to write 3 reasons why you would like to be independent. Any 3 reasons. Why you think independence or being independent is nice or is appealing.
Is it a bad thing to ask how you would define independence?
Sorry?
Would it be bad to ask how you would define independence? Because different people have different.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Okay.
No boundaries to it. The way you want to look at it. Because as you are right in that, your question, because everyone has a different meaning of independence, but whichever way you think is right. I think Anisha is still writing, but no problem, take your time. I would like Liz to tell me what are your reasons of liking to be independent.
Well, I think one of them is definitely the freedom to act as I choose. One of them would be the freedom to act as I choose.
Okay.
To have my own, be able to choose. And then also,
Facing the camera.
okay, sorry.
Thanks.
And then independence in the sense of self-reliance.
Okay.
And also that it allows me a certain level of uniqueness
Very nice.
to the original.
That's very nice. Very excellent, and actually excellent answers and very original. But of course, the best part of such discussions is that there is no perfect answer, there is no right, or there is no wrong. Everyone has their own individual reasons. But definitely your inputs were very good and thought thought-provoking for me as well. Thank you, Liz. Yes, Anisha. What would you like to say?
For me, being independent is empowering me to take my own decisions without having to answer to someone. Like, why am I taking it? Because it doesn't have to be financial independence or anything that some independence. It just has to be. It can come at my age. It can come at some place later. It can come earlier. But it gives me the power of making the decisions. And when I make decisions myself, I am not accountable, to answer to someone. I know that I have done it, and I am answerable only to myself. So that is independence for me. That I, right, wrong, whatever be the decision, I can take it myself, and I am only answerable to myself. So that, and I also feel that independence gives you the scope of, connecting to yourself, because sometimes you want to do so many things, but you can't because you have, things around you telling you can't do it. If you know that you feel that independence, then you can do those things. So that is what I feel.
Very true. Especially at your age, there's so much, so much of energy and thoughts bubbling within you. But thank you, those were wonderful answers. Do you want to add something? Thank you. That was very nice, and as I can resonate with your thoughts, because at this age, you have so many ideas and so many things that you're bubbling with. So I totally agree with that thought line. Would you like to share something, Prithvi?
Sure.
It's a privilege to have a man speak while he has to be independent.
Actually, independency, anyone want. If we go to a child like newborn, he is independent to learn anything. He enjoyed it, and independency means enjoying what you want to know. And if you want to know something that is not, so you will try and get it to know. That's a joy for you, because that is something that you don't know, and there is so enjoy that you are going to know about that.
So the joy of seeking.
Yeah. The joy of feeling for anyone, like if a baby or even for someone who is older or anyone is even as younger, who is going to job and apply for something like, and if he has knowledge, but he don't have what I can say, for another thing like as a independency, everyone like that he should be get appreciated what he has done for his or even for himself, and
Why don't you speak in whichever language you are comfortable? हमको तो आपकी भाषा सुननी है, your content.
content is like, अब फिलहाल तो इंडिपेंडेंसी जो मेरे अकॉर्डिंग है, हमारे को ये लगता है कि हर एक बंदे को अपनी जो फीलिंग्स होती हैं उसको एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए बंदे को लगता है कि हाँ, आई लाइक दिस वे टू टॉक, आई लाइक दिस वे टू लिव, एंड दिस इज द वे आई वांट टू अर्न, एंड व्हाई आई वांट टू appreciate everyone who I like even you are working for someone and you are doing really well, so I will try and do my best to appreciate you.
Very nice, very nice. You want to add something more?
No, yes, I think I can say.
Thank you very much, Prithvi. Thank you all of you for sharing such I would say secret reasons for being independent. Sometimes we are not very open and we are a little reluctant to speak our mind. But I would thank you that you all spoke very honestly from within your heart. So we like being independent, and I remember that I like my independence too. And when I first was able to make initial savings from my salary, the first thing that I did is to buy myself a car, because I did not want to depend upon someone to take me around, and there were so many things I wanted to do on my own. So I'm sure with our initial savings, a lot of us have generally bought something on the road to independence. And I want to ask each one of you again, what was that one thing that you bought out of your initial savings on the road to independence?
As you asked, I have started my career for last 10 to 15 years, but I was not independently settled down, and I was thinking that my parents should give me support, or some person should stand with me so that I can go further and increase
What
my.
was that one thing that you bought for yourself?
That's I am coming on to.
Okay.
Now, last year I brought this camera, and I have experienced like around what I was not thinking even for last year in the starting of the last year, that I will go to buy something like for 10 lakh rupees, and I will have that 10 lakh rupees in my hand.
Wow.
And in that day I was feeling proud that I bought this one.
You bought a camera worth 10 lakh rupees?
The accessories with the camera that cost me around 10 lakh.
Hats off. I salute you.
But
Excellent. If
in
you
the
can do
beginning,
something.
I just I borrowed 50,000 rupees from my father, and
That's
I was
allowed. That's allowed.
and that time I was thinking that it will be 50,000, I can pay it. But from that time, that was no like I was not able to pay out that 50,000. That was a very big amount for me. But after independently doing some business, I paid out. But for achieving this one, I was trying for last like 5 to 7 years. I will borrow this one day. But in last year, immediately my mind changed, and I go to the showroom and tried my whatever I like. I like to buy a camera that is for 3 lakh rupees, and I like to buy lenses that is also for 3 lakh rupees. So there was independent in me that go and do what you want to do, because what I will do, it will pay the future. क्योंकि अगर मैं आज कुछ रख रहा हूँ, whatever I am thinking today, if I do not try and go to do it in future, I will say I have to try it. But according to me, if I tried it and if I go to do this one, then whatever I want to do in future, I will do. So it makes me happy that I was for past 5 to 7 years thinking about this. I will save my money to borrow this. But last final year I bought this one.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's all.
Would you like to share what you did with your initial saving on the road to independence?
I got my phone. Yeah.
Excellent.
So I got my phone, and the first thing that I got was from my mother. I bought her a sari, and I bought my father clothes, like shirt and everything.
So, one question. You said you bought yourself a mobile. I understand how that's related to independence. When you said you bought your mom a sari, how is that related to independence?
This is my first job, and whatever I got her small things, whatever the things were, so somewhere they were something I was saving up from them only. Like, that's what I said, it was something they were giving me money, I was saving it up for, but ultimately that was not something I was earning, right? So that was not my money. So
the financial independence.
yes.
The joy derived out of financial independence made you buy something for your kids.
And they initially were like, we have so much, why do you want? I know, you will have to take it. Why will you not take it? You'll have to. Whatever I've given you till now was somewhere not, I could not earn that. Abhi to I'm earning and you'll have to take it.
Very nice.
Even before this camera buying, my parents are also saying that you have a camera that is also good and you earn very well. I said that I need to improve my packages and I have to go above. So I make them my decision that it is my dependency that I will go to buy this one, and they appreciate it.
Very nice, excellent.
The other thing that I would like to say is when I was in college, I was not allowed, to give my parents were against this tuition. Like they didn't want me to go out that much. They wanted me to focus on study, and all that. So basically, I should tell them that give me a scope of doing something other than this, where I can at least not, take money from you when I go to college and all. So they were very reluctant. So when we go out, whatever I do, so I tell them ki I'll pay. I'll like Uber or anything I book say, nee, just don't bother about the money, I'll pay. Just take an Uber, just take an Ola. So they don't say it, but then they are reluctant that we'll not take it and stuff. But then I can see that they are so happy when I take the initiative and say no, Papa, I'm there. So that
really
just makes me really happy.
Very nice. Can we hear it?
First thing I guess I bought when I was very, very young was a tennis racket because I wanted to play tennis and my mom didn't have enough money to buy me a tennis racket. So saving up, working summers to buy the tennis racket and be able to play tennis, that was important to me for my independence.
That's right. Well, thank you for those honest confessions, and yes, everyone has their reasons and their choices to buy something with their initial savings, and again, very interesting. And especially Liz, to buy a tennis racket is something unusual in terms of independence, and that was a very unique thing to be doing. So the point here is, what's the big deal? All of us are independent. We've created a fully functional world around us where everything is in perfect harmony, materialistically I would say more, and we are in full command of the situation. So where's the problem? What's the big deal? Let me ask you this question once again. How many of you like being independent? But this time, I'm not talking about materialistic independence. I'm talking about emotional independence. I'm talking about psychological independence, intellectual independence, social independence, spiritual independence. Most of the time, I've seen people outsourcing all these elements. People derive happiness from family members, their colleagues, their friends, and a lot of people in their significant other circles. They laugh when their friends or their family members laugh, they cry when they cry, and they expect the same for themselves. So somewhere down I feel that we have to stop outsourcing all these elements, but to create active zones within our body and our mind. Let me share an example with you. I was in Canada last year and I happened to meet this charming lady who owned a 20-room resort, and which was perched on a mountain near Toronto. It was a beautiful, beautiful resort that she was mentioning to me. And she said that she has two sons who are very actively engaged in the family business. And she was very happy. She was very happy that both of them were very committed, very dedicated, and because of their presence, their business figures grew very well. So she was very happy. So when she kept saying she was very happy because of their sons, I just paused and thought to myself that there's definitely something that I'd like to share with her. And I told her that, why are you very happy? She says, I'm very happy because of my sons. So I said that, isn't this a dicey situation? She was silent, but she had a questioning look. I asked her, can you imagine a situation where your son are not helping in the family business? She says, no. I said, do you know the future? She said, no. I said, can you imagine a situation where your children are no longer helping you for any unforeseen, how would you feel? She said, I would absolutely be disappointed, heartbroken, shocked. I said, but how about you think this way, that you think of it this way, that you have been a mother, where you have given birth to these sons, where you have instilled a high value belief system in them, where you have been able to provide a platform for them to work on this. And how about you end it at this point of thought line for the time being? She thought about it and she said, you're right, Chandrika. I think I'm very happy basically because my children are there with me today and that they are so actively supporting me in this business. But yes, that's food for thought for me to think in this new way. So most often we see that we have outsourced a lot of these emotions from ourselves, and we were talking about that we have to create zones of creating happiness from within ourselves. And I tell myself that I'm not afraid of traveling on a flight, on a train, with my belongings, with my certificates, with my jewelry, my academic credentials. In an eventuality where they are lost or misplaced, not to say that I don't take precautions, but if they are stolen, I tell myself that the most valuable part is still with me. And you know what's that most valuable part? My own self, for my own self. How can you take my skill? How can you take my courage? How can you take the confidence that stands out of my own self? And most importantly, how can you take my soul from myself? So, I met a friend the other day and she said, Chandrika, this is very easier said than done. I said, agreed. I said, I definitely agree that it's easier said than done and there is absolutely no denial. But without sounding very technical or going into the science of the mind, body and soul, in a very elementary way, in a very childlike explanation, I told her. I said, when you think about something, don't you talk about it? When you talk about something, don't you think about it? And when you think about it, you do it. If the action is good, if the outcome is good, you are tempted to do that again, and again, and again. You form a habit. And that's what we're looking for. You're looking for a habit, a formation of a rhythm within your body. Do you remember Mr. Obama, during his election campaign, had spoken 3 magical words? Does anyone remember what those words were? I guess I'll tell you. Those words were, yes, we can. Yes, we can. I noticed before, during, and after, he kept on repeating these words. Do you think that he was only saying these words for himself? Only for the audience? He was actually talking to himself. And every time he said this, he was reaffirming his spirit, the energy, the courage from within himself. He had a very huge challenge, a very huge task to perform ahead of him. So every time he said this, it was more reassuring his own inner strength and spirit. I want to ask another question. How many of you talk to yourself? How many of you talk to yourself? Good. I talk to myself. And some people find this very strange. They said, Chandrika, what are you talking to yourself? And I tell them that I'm talking to myself because a lot of solutions and answers I seek from within myself. And sometimes I'm fighting with myself, I'm quarreling with myself, I'm fighting my battles. So, sometimes I'm not loud thinking, but sometimes I'm murmuring, I'm into an argumentative mode with my own self. And I'm happy to share with you that last Sunday I was reading the newspaper and it says Maria Sharapova and Serena Williams also talk to themselves. And they say that it says talking to yourself isn't weird, it helps you perform better. So I was very happy and my thoughts got only validated. So I will definitely continue talking to myself, because as the topic of, my thought is that you are the source. So when you are the source, you have to seek the changes from within yourself. You have to seek answers from within yourself. So believe me, it's very normal to talk. I want to bring you all to the reservoir or the power bank concept. What's a power bank? A power bank is basically an electronic gadget which stores chemical energy, which is used in terms of emergency to charge a device. So how is it related to our system and the emotions that I'm talking about? Well, it is. It is? So
It's our internal self that has the power source.
absolutely, it's our internal self. But not many of us know this, and not many of us recognize this. I want to urge to all people present here to create a power bank, a reservoir within their own system which they integrate completely. Not all days are the same. Sometimes days are very stressful. Sometimes you've had to go that extra mile to achieve your targets. Sometimes you've had more failures than success. Sometimes you've just had a bad day. So what do you do? How do you charge yourself? That one day, because of the power bank that you have created within yourself, you take a little portion and use that to charge yourself. Like the way you would have used a power bank to charge your mobile. Now some people ask me, how do we charge this power bank? It sounds difficult. What do we do to charge this power bank? And I tell them 5 minutes of silence in the morning and 5 minutes of silence in the night. Now this 5 minutes of silence is not silence externally, but 5 minutes of silence from within. You switch on to a level where you're talking to yourself, you're listening to your own breath. I do not mean that you switch off your mobile or you disconnect the doorbell and you shut the room. It's more of connecting with your own self, hearing your own self. But 2 key ingredients I would highly recommend in this process. Let it be at the same time of the day in the morning and at the same spot in the house. Why at the same time? There is a very beautiful biological system which is taking in all of us. So even if it is at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, that's fine. But I highly urge that you do it at the same time and at the same spot in the house. And 5 minutes of silence before you sleep. How the day has gone by. You want to introspect, you want to retrospect, you want to learn from what has happened, tasks that have left, you've not been able to complete. So 5 minutes of silence in the morning, 5 minutes of silence in the night. Reading a good book, listening to good music, enjoying a good meal with your family members. When the mind is happy, it has ample ability to absorb a lot of positive vibes and energy. So make yourself happy, see and choose things that make you happy. Most importantly, come to events like this. Go out of the way to ensure that you have attended an event like this at least once a year. So these are all steps to ensure that you have charged your power bank. The other day, I had a friend and she said that, Chandrika, I'm very upset. I asked her why. She says that when I go back home, she's basically a homemaker, and she says that my husband, my children don't have time for me. They're so busy in their own world. So I said, Monica, can you act? She said yes. I said, can you do some drama? She said yes. I said, so let's pretend to be busy. She says, okay, what do I do? I said, once you finish all the chores of the day, you've served good dinner, you put all the dishes back, how about you sit with a notebook and pen and Google something. Sit seriously, pretend that you're very busy, very engrossed. She says, what will happen? I said, don't ask questions. Call me the 4th morning. She was obedient. 4th morning, I got a call from her and she says, Chandrika, I'm very happy. I said, why, what happened? She says, yesterday night, my husband came up to me and said, what are you doing? I said, well, I was, reading the newspaper and I hit along this jargon. I was trying to understand what this is all about. And we actually got into a conversation. And he said beside me, seeing this, my daughter, who always is so busy in her project, she came up to us. She also sat down beside us. She said, says that, so what do I do? I'm very happy. I said, don't do anything. Continue to do this another 3 days and call me the 7th morning. She did that. 4th, 5th, 6th night, she continued to be busy. She pretended to be busy. She did all the drama without getting absolutely unaffected by anyone's presence around her. 7th morning, she called me. She says, I'm very happy. She says, not only am I getting the love and attention of my husband and my daughter, but I've been able to increase my general knowledge and the awareness of everything that is happening around me. She said that today I'm able to maintain an intelligent conversation with my husband. And when I go and pick up my children, I'm able to, put something important to all the mothers that are waiting for their children to come. I said, excellent. And I'm happy to share with you that that one thought or that one drama or acting that she did, today she's a part-time online editor. Only because she thought she wanted to do something after feeling the changes in her. So here the emphasis is that she was trying to challenge changes externally from others. She was begging for love, she was begging for attention. She didn't get it. When she did it from her own self, when she challenged, she decided that the change has to come from within. She geared up and she did something different. And everything fall in place. Her husband came back to her, her daughter was giving her attention. She became more knowledgeable. She was able to maintain and make intelligent conversation with her, the people around her. So everything was very nice. So it is extremely clear that earlier what she was doing is that she was trying to get attention externally and expecting them to change without realizing that she had the whole power to bring about the change from others, for her own self, from within herself. So, to conclude, there are 2 things. I will give all of you a paper. I want you to write one thing that you wish to get rid of, that you've been planning to do, you've been planning that you don't want this aspect of your personality in your life, and you want to get rid of this one thought line, but you've never been able to do this. So I'm going to give you a paper where you have to write one such thing that you want to get rid of. Gurpreet, I want you to write one such thing which you want to get rid of. Any one thing that you want to get rid of.
Either financially or whatever.
Anything, any quality, any aspect of your life. Okay, I'm very lazy. I don't want to be lazy anymore. Or anything that you may think. Like for me, I'll give you an example. I used to procrastinate. मेरी आदत थी कि मैं सब चीज कल के लिए टालना चाहती थी कि कल करेंगे वो कल जो कभी नहीं आता है. So anything that you think you want to get rid of, which you are not happy about yourself, any one thing.
Mind stuck over here.
Well, I have this box and you have to put what you thought you want to get rid of in this box. Liz, would you like to, you can fold this and you can put it in this box.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You can fold this and just put it in this box. He wants to be short and it's not open. So, in this box, you have your worries, you have that aspect of your personality which you wanted to get rid of. That stays with me in this box, in this room. when you walk away today out of this room, you would have left this in this box. Remember, you have given this to me in this box. So it's no longer going to be yours. Right?
Okay.
And one, something that I would say to everyone sitting in this hall, that strengthen yourself with so much of courage, strength, energy, motivation, inspiration, everything, that even the Lord steps down and says, "Madam, what can I do for you?" Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I share something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I have.
Would you like to speak now? Or no?
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I have
Please,
a.
I like to please have a one photograph.
We have a photograph here.
Yeah.
The customary photograph.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you take a photograph for us?
Actually, sorry to interrupt. I am on duty, so I have to do it.
Huh? You have to go?
No,
Yeah.
of course, you're doing your duty very well.
Yes.
You were not interrupting, we were just telling. Can you take a photograph from
Why,
one side?
why not? It's my duty.
Thank you.
Yeah, please come.
And everyone understood their duty so beautifully.
Thank you.
आप ना नीचे करके मत लीजिए पीछे
Double
करके
chin
हाँ, I don't like that go off look.
Okay.
हाँ, take like थोड़ा और पीछे चले जाइए बेशक.
पीछे जाऊँगा तो बहुत
अच्छा.
दूर हो जाएगा. पास आना.
नहीं, थोड़ा दूर है, थोड़ा. We'll crop it up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
तेनू क्या रही भाई?
Thank you very much.
नाराज है?
My box, I wanted more.
Get rid of the Excel.
Finish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to share with you that I have the place, that I have, and my son came 2 years ago, and I was very, very happy because we had run businesses together before, and he is my best business partner, the best, because I can trust him, because he's so reliable, because he's so professional. He has so many good qualities for a business. He has great ideas, and he's very conscientious. So he finally said, "I'm coming to help you." And he came over to live in North Carolina. He was in Florida. And I was so happy. And then he told me, after a while, he couldn't live there. And, he said that because the place is very secluded, very forest, national park. And so he wanted the city. He missed the city. He wanted the nightlife. He wanted restaurants. He wanted
At that age.
young person, yes. And so it was so hard for me, right? But the minute I saw that he wasn't happy, that he wanted to be more active in the city, I took him to the city. I took him to different places in North Carolina, and I said, we go. So, and I took him to a place and he fell in love with it, and he stayed there, and now he's there. But it was that feeling of, I didn't care. I wanted him to be where he wanted to be, and he said to me right before that, he said to me, no, I'll stay. I'll be fine. I'll stay. I've decided I'm going to stay, and I don't need to look at another go look at that place. And that way you'll know for sure if you want to stay or if you want to go. And we went and he decided to go. So he now lives over there, but I knew that I wasn't going to have him there and be unhappy and not be where he felt his energy at the highest level. So I can relate to the woman in your story because
In fact, I met this lady and she said she's so happy so many times because of her children. And I thought to myself, this is such a nice situation.
yes.
And she was like 60, 65. And when I said something like this to her, I said, you were giving too much of happiness to that source, which is really not yours. Tomorrow yours, I said, are you sure of that? She said, no. I said, what if one gets married and decides to put it in the place? You don't know the future, you don't know what the future. And forget it. Say for some unforeseen situation. She said that what do I do? I said, feel happy that you've given birth to them. You've given them a platform. That you've instilled value system in them. And end it at that point for the time. When I say for the time being, I want you to go further from within your own self. Yeah? I'm not telling you to become stoic. I'm not telling you to become isolated. But shift the focus. She was like, wow, you don't look that old for these words of wisdom. That's what she told me. I said, well, looks like she said, you were at your age. Yeah, that's what she told me. She says, you are what? Right? I thought, yeah. And you miss a very important,
Again, my work.
yes, you miss a very important exercise that we did in the end.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, sure, of course. I'll give you this paper. I want you to think of that one aspect of your personality which you want to get rid of, but you've not been able to get rid of it. So the question is that one aspect of your personality that you are not happy about and you want to get rid of. You want to write one thing, you want to write two things, but be sure that you want to get rid of, because there is a very solid reason for it.
Can I wear another one?
Yeah, please. It's actually, I'm going to take this box away. There is something that I'm going to go out. Please give it to me. I want your words, I want you to. And I don't sing. These people have the freedom to write. Want to come
What's
in?
the company into?
Sorry?
What is the company into?
This is into niche consultancy with tourism. And consulting groups is into soft skills training and development.
Just over the session.
Yeah, just over the session.
Okay, thank you.
Where should you put this? You have to give this to me forever. And when you walk out, remember, it's not yours. Once you've given this to me, if you give me this bag here, you can't take it back, right? It's a gift you're giving to me. So it's no longer going to be with you. Put it in this box. Hold it.
It's gone.
It's gone from you, out of your system forever. When you walk out, I want you to walk out free, at least free from one such thing. It stays in the box, it stays with me, it stays in the room. You know what this box was? I've had no time to cook and my maid is on her annual leave. all dry stuff. I cleaned it, I brought the wrapping paper and I was like wrapping this house. So one thing to चली गई आपकी life में ना, हाँ? Promise me in fact, whatever you have thrown in that box, you have thrown away from your life forever. This is your moment of reality where you empower yourself with being the source for everything you do. And if this one thing was stopping you from that, it's really worldwide. Liz, you have to promise me that with all honesty, I have taken that. You cannot take it back at any point. I'm willing to take the responsibility. I'm willing to take that weight of your problem, that aspect of your personality forever with me. You cannot take it. Remember this. This is a promise you make to your own self. I will be conveyed through telepathy if you take it back.
What is that?
If you take what you've given here back through telepathy, I will know that you are taking it back. So you better be very careful. Walk out free.
That's it. It's done.
It's done. It's mine. It's in this room. It's in the box. It's not into your system anymore.
Good. No doubts.
No.
You know, I had a habit of procrastinating when someone asked me to do something like this. I would procrastinate. I still do it sometimes, but I'm very conscious of it. Because I give it to someone. And when I give it to someone, it's not nice, I ask them back. You would never ask for whatever back. Thank you. Gurpreet ji, you have given me that aspect of your life.
Sorry?
You have put something into the box now.
Okay.
Okay, Matlab?
बिल्कुल.
You have.
हाँ हाँ.
Now you can't take it back with you.
कोई मेरे बैग पे नहीं होगा.
Good.
लावे एक फोटो खींच दीजिए. जी. एक फोटो खींचिए. आज ही कहीं. आओ आप. You, three of you.
One
I want a
participant.
photo with me.
Sure. In fact, एक हम winning मोबाइल के साथ भी खरीदते हैं. At least I can tell I had 3 people, 4 people who had this.
I'm the fourth one. I'm just setting the camera. ले भाई. कल कर लेगा.
कोई नहीं, मेरे को टेंशन ना लो. तुम्हें टेंशन ना लो, ठीक है?
सेंटर को कुछ नहीं करना. आओ जी.
आज भी आप बीच में खड़े हो जाओ. नहीं
In the
आप
center.
you five in the center.
Yes, yes. Love them.
Hello. Multitasking.
People दिखा दे. तेरी खींच ले ऐसे. कितनी?
And yours here.
हाँ तू भी आ जा. चलेगा मेरी रहेगी.
नहीं, मेरे को नहीं.
आ जाओ.
आ जा भी. Give me the mobile.
Us?
Who has a good mobile? I think Liz, you have a good mobile.
You can use mine.
Samsung बड़ा अजीब सा हो रहा है.
कोई बात नहीं. सारे सबके आते हैं अपने अपने यहाँ पे.
नहीं
ऐसे.
Liz can.
Just push it up.
Yeah.
Then, you know,
So many persons. They
yes.
train me. Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you much.
Okay.
Oh,
the session?
Oh, I enjoyed it very much. It was very good, extremely good.
Although I missed the
Yes, you made a
section
very
before the. This is my card. Please, ma'am, please. I'll stay in contact with you.
How would you say contact?
I'll-
Telepathy?
You know when I'm stealing that.
That? This?
No, that, like whatever I put in the box and I'm stealing
Oh,
that.
okay, okay. But I don't wish that I come to know through that technique because you're actually not supposed to steal it back.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You can. You promise me,
No,
give
I
it to
won't.
me. Thank you, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you, Anisha. You're so sweet. You're such a sweet girl.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you too. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Good job. एक person or दो person, they're always there.
हाँ.
क्या है मैं बोला दो मिनट को मैं फोन कर रहा मुझे ना मैं बस देखो बोले नहीं I get you हाँ माँ बोलो क्या बोले वेटिंग में यहाँ पे फोटो खींचे थे तो मैं वो दोनों को फोन करता मैं आपने फोन कर दिया मेरा मैंने फोन काटा नहीं था मैं अपना वेटिंग कर दिया था फोन अपना फोन में गेम लग लिया था मैंने खुशी है उस बात की बात नहीं वो बात नहीं और बता आप बताओ अभी आज भी आ जाता हूँ मैं कल भी आ जाता हूँ बस आना तो कल हमको शाम को कल हमारा यहाँ से काम खत्म हो जाएगा
What's the session here?
The previous session just finished.
कल शाम को यहाँ से काम होगा 2:30 बजे
What session is that?
ठीक है तो सर कल
Session.
Building brands for startups, is that the one? Yeah, building brands.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
कोई हमें होटल मैं तो देखूँ मैं घूमने गए बस अब यहाँ पे 1 घंटे काम हो रहा है 8 बजे से 8:30 बजे मीटिंग खत्म हो रही जाते 8:30 बजे मीटिंग खत्म हो जाएगी नहीं गुड़गांव एयरपोर्ट पे गुड़गांव नहीं मैं पता क्या बोल रहा हूँ गुड़गांव में ना एयरपोर्ट के अंदर काम करते हैं साथ में का फंक्शन है मम्मी यहाँ पे नींद पूरी नहीं हो रही पेट में गैस बन जाती है दवा की, गैस बन जाती है पेट में, फिर सीने में होती
यार इसको लाई आपको बात चले जाए तो कहना इसको लाई चले जाए
तो हम सोइए
आई थी इसको
हम बोल दिया था मन में, कुछ नहीं भेजा था मेरे को, पिछान पैसे नहीं भेजा था, पिछान गया था मैं भेजा उसने मेरे को। कुछ को याद नहीं है, कुछ को याद नहीं है। नहीं नाम सुन, नाम क्या सुने, नाम याद नहीं आ रहा मेरे को, नाम क्या है उसका मतलब मैं ये चाहता हूँ आपको यहाँ पे काम परमानेंट काम है, यहाँ पे पैसे कम है यहाँ पे, पर यहाँ पे काम परमानेंट है। मनु तो बोला है, मनु बोला बेटा पहले मिलेगा, फिर 8,000 बात हुई थी, उसके बाद बात हुई पैसे में से, मैं पैसे बढ़ाऊँ बोला हाँ 1 महीना हुआ था, अब जो पैसे और जो पेमेंट होती थी वो एक्स्ट्रा पैसे मिलेंगे तो उसमें। मम्मी मैं घर पे तो रुका नहीं 1 मिनट, कहाँ ले ला कर दूँ आपको, घर पे रुकूँगा नहीं मैं पैसे हाँ पंडाल में नहीं है, पंडाल में नहीं है हम। मेरी बात सुनो, हम है एयरपोर्ट पे दिल्ली वाले, मेरी बात पहले बात सुनो, हमें दिल्ली के एयरपोर्ट पे है, हमारा जेब से 1 बार खर्च नहीं होगा, चाय नाश्ता सुबह का, सुबह नाश्ता 8 बजे, 8:30 बजे नाश्ता सुबह का, ठीक है, उसमें चाय मिलती है, वो पास्ता वास्ता क्या बना देते हैं, ठीक है, फिर नाश्ता है 12 बजे का, 12 से 1 बजे का, उसमें रोटी मिलती है, ठीक चावल मिलते हैं, दाल मिलती है, मटर पनीर मिलती है, सब्जी मिलती है, और शाम को खाना शाम को 8 बजे खाना है, शाम को भी 2 सब्जी होती हैं, रोटी होती, चावल होते हैं, सब्जी होती है शाम को भी। हेलो हेलो, शाम को खाना पे ठीक, खाने की टेंशन नहीं है। हेलो हाँ, खाने की टेंशन नहीं, खाना पे अच्छा खाना मिल रहा है, साफ खाना मिल रहा है हमको, ये नहीं सड़ा बुरा खाना बना दिया खाए तुम लोग खाए, कम से कम मम्मी अब खाना तो होता है, मानो यहाँ पे हम लोग 400-500 बंदे बैठे खाना खाते हैं यहाँ से, होटल टाइप में है, होटल में 25 अंदर आते हैं, अंग्रेजों के लिए ऊपर है, अंग्रेज लोग ऊपर खाना खाते हैं। अभी कट मारा है, अभी मीटिंग खत्म हुई है, हाँ अब मीटिंग सो ही खाते वो देख रहा है सर, सब बढ़िया उसका हाँ अच्छा
Are you the speaker?
Yeah.
You're the speaker, next
Yeah.
speaker?
Yeah.
It's not started?
No, start. I'm waiting for somebody who's coordinating the session to come. So this person is coming, otherwise I'll just manage on my own. Somebody called Meena is supposed to come. That's okay.
Do you need help?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Since the laptop doesn't have password, it's
I
fine.
really need help with building a brand, so if nothing, then at least it's for me. Yeah. You're from IFT?
That's right.
Okay. It's the MBA college in Delhi, right? Yeah. I can do the slide.
No, I prefer doing it myself because it's a big PPT. I'm not going to use the whole of it, so
Right.
I'll be jumping back and forth.
Okay. Before you speak, can I have your card? Just
Sure.
in case. I run this startup called Taru Naturals. It's an organic foods brand, and the brand name is Taru. And I've had a lot of trouble actually building the brand.
Okay.
Starting with designing actually.
Okay.
So also how do you create a design language, all those things.
Okay.
And the other thing is that we work with many farmers, 3,000 farmers. So we have a lot of responsibility in marketing their products.
What kind of products?
So it's like we have jaggery powder, we have spices, then we have cold pressed oils, black rice, things like that. Yeah. So we have a range. So we decided to focus on 6 products. I can add more provided I have the design language, the brand building, basics right?
So the design part I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not my area.
Okay.
The marketing side.
Yeah.
And the identity of the brand.
Yeah, so brand identity is what I'm having trouble with.
So
Yeah.
that's something I can. You can always ask questions.
Yeah.
Where we going? Hi. I think I need to do something.
Building brand for startups.
It's working, right?
Are you friend of, if I may ask, Anil Aneja?
No, sorry.
IFT is this foreign
Trade, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade.
Yeah, so anyway, I think.
Maybe he was there some other time.
Are you the one doing that MSME?
Yes, we have a center for MSME in our institute, but we don't have a faculty called Anil Aneja.
No, he's not in the faculty. He wanted to introduce me to somebody.
In the institute. Okay. So there's a lady called Dr. Tamanna and there's Professor Rangarajan. Both of them look after the Center for MSME.
So maybe
And
because I saw IFT.
Yeah, and we have a center at Shimla also.
I right here. You wanted to
Yeah.
meet
Okay.
somebody.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Great. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming at the end of a long day. I'm sure everybody's tired. Since there's nobody here to convene the session, I'm just going to take it freewheeling, and please feel free to interrupt me. Don't wait for me to finish before you ask questions. If you have any, we can make it interactive. That would be more interesting and help people stay awake. Okay, a little bit introduction about myself. My name is Rupal Sharma. I'm a faculty at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. We're a business school specializing in international business. And my work area is in brand management. I was in the corporate sector earlier and then shifted to academics about 14 years ago. So I've been working for about 23 years now. And my work in corporate sector and in academics and my PhD and research is everything is in the area of brand management. So that's my field. I'm going to, we all know what's a brand as consumers, and probably many of you are working in the area of marketing and branding as well. But something very, very essential and very simple thing is that, a product can be copied by a competitor, but a brand can't be. So really, brand is about distinguishing your product and giving it a unique identity. So you can make something which is very similar, right? So you can have a cola, you have many colas, but it's not a Coke or it's not a Pepsi, right? That is something which is distinguishing this particular product from all the other products which is there. So
Like the same product you can have multiple, but the brand which you have is unique, right? And when you make a brand, you're actually making a promise to the consumers to say that this is what I'm going to deliver to you, this is what I'm going to give to you. So we have many examples of successful brands. They're huge brands globally, Apple, Nike. In India you have Infosys. You have, across many fields you have Kisan, you have, in foods, then in restaurants you have Taj, so multiple brands. But these are big brands. So if you're small, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just starting out, how do you start thinking about the building blocks or the DNA of branding, right? So like I said, it's really about recognition. It's about who you are. And therefore, its primary function is to differentiate. In the olden days, people had assets which were houses and animals, right? And how do you identify kiska ghar hai and kiska animal hai? Because everybody, we have one person not from India, so I won't speak in Hindi. So, house you can put a label on, you can put a nameplate on and say this is my house and this is who it belongs to. But animals, they used to burn a mark, and that was called bronzer in the olden language, and that's where branding has really come from. It's about identifying and differentiating in its most basic function. Of course, that's not the only function. There's a lot of value add also which it is giving. So it adds value to the customer because it's helping me make a purchase decision, and it's giving me something just beyond the functional product in many cases. Okay? So this is something which I've already spoken about. So I'm going to tell you about two brand stories. Very different ones and very different in scale as well. So the first one I'm going to start with is a very old one, and it's from Colombia. And the second one I'm going to talk is a very new, very small brand from India. Just to share, the diversities in how they built the brand, but the fundamentals in both cases are the same. So the first is actually, it's a coffee brand. You may have heard of the name. It's called Café de Colombia. Basically means coffee from Colombia. And we have a young lady here who's working with farmers and helping marketing their produce. So maybe, this somewhere resonates with you. So this actually started way back in Colombia, in the early 1950s and late 1950s and early 1960s. The Colombian farmers were having a lot of problems. Why? Because there were many people who made coffee, and many people were exporting coffee and trading coffee in the world. And when there was surplus of coffee production, prices go down. Right? As we all know, that happens for every good. So they were under a lot of stress, and they were like, every time our prices go up, they'll switch to some other coffee. Is there some way we can protect ourselves? Is there some way we can make our coffee different and better than the rest, and therefore protect our earnings and our business, and also help customers recognize the different coffees they are? So there were many, many farmers, like in India, not very large scale, small farms. So they formed a cooperative, Federation of National Coffee Growers, and they said, let's pool in our resources, because individually we don't have the strength to do marketing or build a brand or create awareness. So let's pool in our resources and let's come out with one identity. Not that everybody is supposed to sell under that identity. No, each person can have their own name, brand, label, whatever, but there would be one common identity which can identify that this is Colombian coffee. So they said that we need first to decide what we are going to stand for. What do we mean by Colombian coffee? Okay. So one thing they said that if I have to decide what I'm going to be about, then there has to be something special about me and something which makes me different from the other coffee. So they said our coffee is richer than the others. And why is it richer than the others? Because the way it is manually picked allows it to retain a better flavor. And of course, from the place it is grown, the flavor is different. Everywhere the soil and the climate are different. So it's rich and very, very strong flavored coffee. So they said that's what we are going to talk about, and that's who we are going to be. And in order for people to recognize us, we need a visual symbol. So they created this logo, and they created a tagline which was the richest coffee in the world. So this was the logo, and they said it's going to be a distinctly Colombian image which people can immediately connect with. So they took a typical Colombian farmer, coffee grower, and with this mule which was used to carry the coffee beans. And they said that because the hand-picked coffee process is the one which makes it special, so they highlighted that and said this gives it a very rich coffee flavor. So now this they've made. But where are their customers? Their customers are largely in the US. So some of them are people like you and me who buy coffee off the retail shelves, and the others are big companies like Nestle who are roasters, who will buy beans from different places, mix them up, put their own brand on the coffee and sell it. So they have to sell to both of these kinds of people. So what they did, they pooled in their resources. they set aside a marketing budget and they went about creating awareness. The first step they said was that everybody in Colombia has to adhere to the quality standards. You see, because if you're not delivering on the product quality, then no amount of marketing or branding is going to help you. It may help you in the short run, eventually it will run out, right? So like, I always tell my students also that, there may be a big banner movie, best of the banners and top movie stars and a lot of marketing money pumped into it, and it creates a lot of excitement, and on the Friday the house is full. But if the movie is not good, it's not going to run, however much money you spend on it. So same thing here, they first put quality standards in place, and they said anybody who wants to use the logo of Café de Colombia has to adhere to the coffee, quality standards and the production standards and the packing standards. Only then they can use this logo. So that's the first step. Because if one person defaults, the entire brand gets a brand name and it's killed right then. Second thing, they went to the US market and they started meeting with the roasters and the big companies and telling them that why their coffee is better and what kind of quality controls they had there. And because they had pooled in money, they were able to afford to do it. So there were representatives who were chosen to go there, who would open negotiations. So they were not selling one company or another company. They were just saying Colombian coffee is better. Look at people from Colombia who carry this logo. And then they went, so they started selling this coffee to them and they said, use Colombian coffee in your mixes. Then they came out with retail packs also, and they told these coffee growers that if you use Colombian coffee in your final coffee mix, then your pack can carry this logo, and we are going to promote it amongst the consumers and tell them Colombian coffee is better. So if the consumers see Colombian coffee logo on the pack, then they will know that this is good coffee. This is a similar concept which Intel did many years later, where they said, the chip is not seen by consumers, but they said if you buy a computer and it says Intel inside, you know it's good quality. So this thing they did way back in the 1960s. So they came out with their own coffee, and they also told the roasters that they can, use their logo. These are some of the scenes from their communication pieces in their brochures, in print ads, where they continuously, this character, they gave him a name, they gave him a personality so people could connect to him, and it connects to Colombia. So he was called Juan Valdez. And then they set about making Juan Valdez popular in Colombia. Okay? And so for the roasters and for the big buyers, they had personal meetings. They had incentive programs. They said, we will support you in your advertising. If you're using our logo in your communication, we'll share some of the costs with you. And for the consumers to build awareness, they did mass advertising campaigns. Okay? And so Juan Valdez really, their whole communication brief was that to let the American consumer recognize who Juan Valdez is, and that if they see this on a pack, that means this pack is a better coffee than the other coffee. So if we've done that, then we've created a differentiation and a value addition. Let me show you one of the commercials. And over a period, before I show that to you, over a period of time, as the consumers evolved, okay, they also started moving from saying, not only should you speak about this packet containing Colombian coffee, they went on to say that a packet which contains only Colombian coffee, it's not a mix with others, is much better than this. So from Café de Colombia, they moved to 100% Café de Colombia. And their margins went up because there was a demand from consumers, the retailers recognized, and they wouldn't switch Colombian coffee with Brazilian coffee or some other coffee because it had a distinct identity. So there was less fluctuation, there were better margins, which they got. And gradually they also moved to, as they moved to higher end coffee, so their imagery also changed. So instead of only the mule, they showed Juan Valdez even coming out of luxury residences. So connecting with the consumer is important in whichever form. Let me first show you some of the print ads. So it is there on the road to success. Then they wanted to connect with younger consumers, so they ran a special campaign which was about, linking adventure sports with him, even though it looks incongruous with his mule and the water. But the idea was to grab attention and make coffee a fun thing for the youth and let them recognize the brand as well. Okay, so this is their web page where they have a lot of interactive engagement opportunities with the consumers. and introducing Yuan Valdez to everyone. And then there is another series of commercials which moves to US from the Colombian fields and shows the consumer and how she buys coffee, and they're showing them looking in the retail shelves, and they see, okay, these packs have Yuan Valdez's photo on it, so let me pick up this, it makes my choice easy, and I know everybody's going to love this coffee. And they had some humorous situations where, they showed Yuan Valdez hiding in the kitchen cupboard, and she opens it and says, okay, now I know I've got Yuan. So they kept on reinforcing Yuan Valdez's face and the fact that this coffee is a rich coffee, and this is how you recognize it. So by doing this campaign, they connected they formed an emotional relationship with the consumer. They gave their brand a personality which reflected their uniqueness, and they also built up a protection for their, the manufacturers of coffee, because they were now different from every other coffee, so not so easy to replace. Right? Let me now move to the other story, which is about Satviko. It's a startup. They started a couple of years ago. And young guys just graduated out of engineering college, IIT Roorkee, two young friends wanting to try something in entrepreneurship. They first tried something in the education field, didn't work very well, left that, and they wanted to do something different, something which could add value. And one, typically startups, I'm taking this story because it's right from how the thinking process of founders begins when they're not really clear about anything, and then they gradually move on to developing a big business and a strong brand. So the idea for the business came to one of the founders, Prasoon, while he was in flight, and he read an article about Sattvic food, about how Sattvic food comes from Indian traditions, it's light and wholesome, and he said, this sounds interesting. How come I've never come across this commercially? I live in India, and let's explore this. So he brainstormed with his friend, and they said, we want to get into this. They read about it. They found the concept of Sattvic food very interesting and very intriguing, because health consciousness is growing up in people. And they said this is something which is so simple and unique, which exists, but it's not being exploited anywhere. So what kind of Sattvic food can we make and sell? That's a question which you need to answer. You have to define your value proposition. What is it that you're going to give to consumers? And where can we sell this food and to whom? So the Sattvic concept is basically about vegetarian food, certain kinds of vegetarian food, which they say are natural goodness, and they are cooked in a way to retain the freshness and lightness. So that's the strength and that's the value which Sattvic food, is providing you. Now this is fine, but even in India and in the youth particularly, it's not too much consciousness about Sattvic food. We've heard the term vaguely, and youth is the segment which they were really more interested in because they eat out a lot, and these guys themselves were young, they could relate to that segment. But they said how to make this concept interesting for them. Why would anybody want to come to a Sattvic restaurant? When they checked with the consumers, most people thought, they said, yeah, Sattvic we know is very healthy, but it's very boring, it's very traditional, it's not something I like to do. That's the impression, and people beyond traditional and boring and healthy, they didn't know anything about Sattvic, right? So, and they said, okay, who are we going to compete with? So they said, in vegetarian food, there are two options. One is a traditional vegetarian Indian thali kind of food, and the other a light fitness food, which is more a niche market, very trendy salad bars and stuff where people go to, but a limited market. So these are the two options currently which is there, and they need to decide who they are going to compete with. Okay? So what is their dream? So when you want to build a brand, you're not just starting out and looking at, okay, only about earning money right now. You are wanting to create something big. It's all about an inception. You have to visualize something. So what's their dream? They wanted to make the concept of Sattvic food very big internationally. Right? And they are saying that we want to, to highlight the quality, energizing and great taste which Sattvic food has, and make it globally popular. This is important because if you don't start from the beginning, if you don't define the platform for your brand, then you're going to run into a little bit of a problem later on. So from the beginning, they were clear that they wanted to look like, they wanted to build a global brand. They brainstormed, so what kind of Sattvic food? So fine, it's healthy and light and wholesome, but will it be Indian food? Will it be international cuisine? Will it be regular kind of food? What kind of consumers? Now, what kind of food I make will depend upon what kind of consumers I want to buy that food. So, am I going to talk only to youth? Am I going to talk to the traditional core, hardcore vegetarians? Or am I going to talk to people who are looking at newer and more experimental in nature? Whoever I talk to, Why would they want to buy my food or eat this? That's a question which is very important to answer. Why would a consumer want to buy your brand? And you have to be brutally honest when you're trying to answer it. If they can easily buy something else, then you've not done a good enough job of building or differentiating your brand. So they need to answer this question. And in what different ways could I serve it? Would I make it a quick service restaurant, casual restaurant, fine dining restaurant? And the most important thing, what do you want the brand to be? Visualize it like a person. Brands are very living, breathing things, and this is what I feel. So what is it that you want it to be known for? So they said, they were very clear about one thing, that it's about offering wellness through tasty, sattvic cooking. Why tasty? Because consumer research showed, in India particularly, that without taste, no food will sell. So taste has to be a very, very important thing. Only health benefit doesn't help. So they were debating whether they should look at youth or not. And if they are looking at youth, then will the youth come for traditional food? If they go only for international cuisine, then the traditional vegetarian segment, which is a huge segment, gets left out. Should they do both? Should they do one? Now the important thing in making these decisions is, when you want to decide who your customer should be, you also need to decide who your customers, who you are not focusing on as your customers. Not that you stop them from buying, but if you try to be all things to all people, you'll end up probably being not connected to any. So yes, you can say that, I have to choose for whom does my brand make the most sense. So they said, we want to target young and, not all youth, people who are young and aspirational, who are open to new ideas, but respect tradition as well. So they have to, because the concept of Sattvic itself is traditional. You can't leave tradition out of the window. That's who you're choosing to be, and you want to take this and make it global. So there has to be some bit of contemporariness added to it, but you can't let go of the traditional. It's not limiting your brand. I think you call it focus. So it's very tempting often to be, straddling two horses at the same time, but it's not a very wise idea for the long run. You have to let go of something and say, this is what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to build my strength in this particular area. Okay, so like I said, get the product right. They spent in getting top quality chefs. They worked on the ingredients. They got the taste, etc. right. I'm not going to dwell on that. But coming to the identity. So one, you've decided what the key core of the brand is. Second, what are the values your organization stands for? Those need to get translated again onto your brand. Okay, what will it represent? And what are you envisioning it in the future? Are you going to limit it to food and restaurants? Are you going to take Sattvico across to multiple other brands and services? Which somewhere in the back of their mind they had that idea. And they didn't want to limit to India, they wanted to go global. So that's something they need to keep. They came out with organizational values, which were about best ingredients and commitment. So, like I said earlier, when you decide who you want to be, you have to be also very clear who you don't want to be. Right? And you have to make that decision a little brutally. So this is all the things they wanted Sattvico to have. But when I want to position my brand, when I want my brand to occupy a space in the consumer's mind, I need to be more focused. Yes, I want the consumer to think of all of this. But what do I want them to associate most strongly with me? There has to be only one or two things. I have to choose between these which makes sense. How do I choose? What's my strength? What does the consumer want? And how can I differentiate from competition? These criteria have to help me decide what the positioning should be. Okay? Should be meaningful to the consumer, whatever I choose. Right? If I choose something, let's say, in AC, somebody says that I've got colorful ACs. Like, nobody's looking for colorful ACs. Sure, you're different, but then so what? Nobody's interested in it. Right? It should give you a distinct advantage over competition, and it should be believable. You can't claim something which the consumer doesn't find credible. Right? So they worked out a lot of options, tasty, traditional, trendy, whatever. But they finally settled on saying that tasty is important. It's not a differentiator, but it's very important for the consumer in choosing food. We have to keep that. And people have the impression that Sattvic food is very bland and not tasty. So they want to change that. But their strength is that it's very wholesome food. So tasty and wholesome is something which they decided to go with. They didn't want to go with traditional and trendy because then they are one of many other options. Then there is their uniqueness is not coming into play. Right? Once you've decided on the values and the value proposition of the brand, you need to create an identity which consumers can recognize and connect with you. So they worked out their logo colors, their brand, what they're going to stand for, and the visual look of their restaurants. Once I've decided on my positioning, then I need to create visibility for my brand. I need to tell people who we are, I need to make them recognize me, I need to build associations with them, and over a period of time build relationships. The difference between good brands and great brands is the emotional connect which great brands have with their consumers. People feel passionately about them. Right? So how did they go about doing it? They didn't have money. So they started small. In the areas where they opened the restaurant, they would distribute pamphlets. They held interesting events. They would invite authors, budding authors or musicians over a weekend and let them interact. They went on internet. They created a very interactive Facebook page. They would run small promotions. They would create little word of mouth. And through customer satisfaction and word of mouth, they were able to, get a loyal band of consumers. Not very big, but they were okay. They wanted to grow at a small pace. And that's how they did. So just to quickly sum up what I was saying, the first step is define why this brand must exist. If you don't have this brand, will the consumers miss something? And if it's just one of the other multiple brands, then you're not going to have ever a very strong brand. There must be some gap which this brand is filling. Then develop your identity. First, be very clear who is your customer, analyze them and what do they want. What is competition already offering? How are you different and better than them? What are the offering features? What are the benefits you are giving? Outline that. Clear about your values. So an organization like a Virgin has a very distinct approach and different values. Google is very innovative. Tatas are very conservative, very ethical, very trustworthy. Right? So each organization has its own values. Think of a brand as a person and describe the personality of that brand. That helps you get the flavor up, right? Translate that into a visual identity which consumers can connect with and decide on a positioning. So positioning, like I said, should take into account strengths of the brand, the customer's motivations and preferences, competitive strengths because you don't want to take an area where you are relatively weak and a competitor is strong. And it should be a believable differentiator. So let me give you and I'll end with this, a very simple example of, soaps. We all use soaps every day. So when I'm saying highlight only one or two things, there were 10 things about Chandrika they wanted to speak about, but they picked up only 2. So it's not that all soaps many soaps are long lasting, many soaps have good fragrance, all the soaps clean. But when you talk about soaps, so when you say gentleness, then you think of Dove. When you think of babies, you think of Johnson's. When you think of antiseptic soap, you think of Dettol. So that one thing that you want to connect with only that brand, that's something which needs to really, come forth strongly. Okay? Yeah, I just wanted to show you one last slide. And then anybody has any questions? So keep it simple. So I think you can see it like this. Keep it simple, give it a visual connect, and build relationships with consumers. So you can do that through PR, you can do it through direct engagement, you can do it through activities, events, you can do it by inviting consumers to show how they're using your brand and talk about it with friends. Whatever. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Or any comments or any experiences which you would like to share or add on to this? Yeah?
The Cafe de Colombia,
Yeah.
so it was like a certification thing.
Yes, you can say it's like, so what we call that in theoretical language is an endorsing brand. So you build your own brand, you have your own identity, but you have this endorsing brand which the consumers will look on and recognize.
Like Craftmark.
Like Craftmark, absolutely, absolutely.
So if my brand name is Taru, then how can I create a certification thing on the side?
But you don't need to because you're only just one single brand. But if you want to take advantage of some other, so like Craftsmark is there, or you have Handloom Mark, Silk Mark, which are there in textiles. Right? So small small artisans or weavers who don't have the resources can use these marks which are being promoted by the government to create a recognition for themselves and assure consumers on quality. So if there is something like that, which the an organic mark is there or not. So in case your products are made using fair trade, then there are a lot of fair trade certifications and marks which are there. So there's one called Shop for Change. Then there are many others. There's Flow. There are a lot of others. So these marks are there. They usually charge money for you to sort of use their brand name because they're investing a lot in getting the processes in place. So those you don't need to make your brand a quality mark, but you can take advantage if there is a quality mark in your industry because people don't know Taru, but people would know Shop for Change maybe. That's still small, but people might be aware. Like Craftsmark, many people are aware.
Organic also there are many. There's an international mark. Some of the actually I have a retail store.
Oh, great.
And I carry about 50 brands.
Okay.
And I work with startups. And I created India's first retail brand for salwar kameez called Kuti in 1984, which is lying closed for 15 years. No, it's okay. It's lying closed for 15 years, but I have customers till date.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have customers wearing my clothes and coming to me and saying, hey, when are you starting Kuti again? So that is what I call a actually real exercise of brand building and creating an emotional connect.
Yes.
That I closed it in 2003. In 2017 also people are coming to me and saying, I think it exists, Oh, I know it. Men coming to me and saying, though it was all about women, men in meetings saying to me, of course I know Kuti.
Yeah.
So that is an example of when we can create a brand which can go even beyond it's not even alive, but it's alive in people's mind. So if I were to pick it up today and restart it, it still exists for most people. It never
have a customer sitting right there.
Oh, see? And in such a small group.
Beautiful collection. It was in horse cars.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So it's I get this all over the world. It's not just in India. Anybody connected with India or women or salwar kameez will know about Kutir, even if foreigner. Okay. So that I use as an example when I talk to brands today when I market them. I've created a new brand called Bazaria. It's called now Bazaria Dukan.
Okay.
With the idea to take it global and adding Dukan in the brand name itself so that when I take it global, then it's not being called the shop, it's being called the Dukan. So I've redesigned my brand name last year with this in my mind. So when I talk to brands, I share this with them all the time that if you can create that emotional connect with your product and with your brand, it will go forever. So the organic brand I carry has a GOTS certificate.
Okay, that's
what you need to know. It's called the GOTS certificate.
GOTS certificate?
GOTS. So a store like mine, if you come and check out the brands, you will learn a lot. I carry about Neev, which is out of Jharkhand. It's a fair trade.
What is the name of your shop?
Bazaria Dukan.
Where is it?
It's opposite Qutub Minar in Mehdoli. So actually if you study young startups and what they're doing, that's a huge learning from there. Huge learning. What they're doing to position themselves. So Zeme is this brand out of Bangalore which has got the GOTS certificate. And Indrika is a brand out of Bombay doing organic cloth, and they have said that the printing which we do does not have chemical in it. It's toxic free. So everyone is positioning themselves and creating, and in India today we've got thousands of product brands. It's an explosion and great stuff to learn from them. If you look at their tags and if you study their tags, the entire story is there in the tags. So a store like mine, if you come there 50 odd brands, study the tags, you've got your story. You will know what to do with yours.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Also, in the tags where she's saying, if you just put the picture of the farmer, if you relate a story about how the product came, when you tell stories, people can connect. Think of your favorite movie, think of your favorite book. You love those and you remember those which moved you emotionally, or it made you say, I can, relate to this. So brands which tell stories also. So just make it personal. It's not just dal. This was grown by Santram, his daughters have now reached school or college. That connects.
MDH is a prime example how the old man has used himself.
Yes, please.
Just a comment. I think that also for startups.
Why don't you use the mic because there?
Yeah.
It's not.
I think it was.
Yeah. Thank you.
for startups and for small companies, it's also you are the brand. So this is why they remember the lady. It's because you are memorable and you are charming and you tell a story. So I think that we as startups also have to speak our story because you are the brand.
Very true. Very true. And when you're talking about, who you want the brand to be, from the founders, a large part of it is a part of them.
And personal values.
Yeah. So if you look at Virgin, a large part of it is Richard Branson. If you look at Infosys, a large part of the Infosys brand is Narayan Murthy, which is coming.
So one of the things I've been asked to change about my brands is to add my photo to the tags.
Okay. See.
So I validate what you say.
Anything else? You said you were struggling. So there's a room full of people. I think we're all working on brands. So if all of us can maybe brainstorm and pick some.
You can tell us about your brand.
Yeah, tell them what your product.
Yeah, that would be really nice actually.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. So one of the things I'm really struggling is what to put in the logo, because Taru stands for tree. It stands for a network of small-scale farmers and tribals. So what we are doing is we are doing community direct fair trade marketing of their products. So we have 6 core products. So there's black rice, jaggery powder, cold pressed oils, turmeric, honey.
So it's like a marketplace brand.
It's an aggregator, but also but we also do natural farming training. We provide them with small-scale technology. There's a whole supply chain we create, so it's not easy, right?
So it's an ecosystem of training,
yes,
and then the final product.
Exactly. So there are very
so that
few,
means you have to represent it through a circle of cycle.
Okay.
Yeah. So the arrow starting from where to where. Yeah. So complete circle.
Right. With arrows. Yeah. Oh
could
wow.
help you. That could help you.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And the 4 points of the circle, you could add your 4 words.
Right.
What you represent.
Save your quadrants.
Right. So from farming
Maybe
to
right from try and create every element. So your touch point, create a SWOT. Your strength, weakness, objective, and drive.
Yeah. So
the logo, for example, you're talking about from growth to birth to the final delivery of the product. So those 4 words which you use, as they're saying they've used 2. In your case, because there's service and there is selling.
Growth, delivery.
Yeah, so you have rice to cold press oil. They're working with farmers.
Spices, and we're going to be adding a lot. Actually, I'm not able to put so many products in my portfolios because my brand line is not ready. And we're adding like cherry tomatoes, sun-dried cherry tomatoes.
This is like you are basically a trader.
No. Aggregator for small farmers.
Small farmers, but we're doing more than that because we go to the field, do quality check, we do training, and trust me, we are a trust-based brand. And a lot of people, a lot of our customers, they don't even ask for certification because it is so pure and so the quality is so good. And I want to get that trust out. So all my customers,
Those 4 words or 2 words or the 3 words which you choose. So circle with arrows will give you that.
Yeah. So at every arrow, I'll put the word. Yeah.
Also say something?
Please.
Because you're selling very pure, very high-level products.
Yeah.
And you're selling, for instance, sun-dried tomatoes to Italian restaurants.
Yeah.
I think that your brand needs to reflect the fact that it's high level and high quality
and pure.
Luxury.
Yeah.
Because it's not just congregating what the farmers are doing, because that can be a whole spectrum from luxury to non-luxury. But you're targeting people like me who have maybe a little bit of extra disposable income, and I'm going to buy that sun-dried tomato, but I want the brand to then speak about that high level of quality.
Yeah. But
So not just the typical NGO kind of a brand, because they're just not attractive.
So, but how do I put so many words?
No, you don't have to put everything in the logo, okay? Keep it simple.
You can't put everything. That's what you have to narrow down.
Yeah.
So your brand is about all these things, but you narrow down to the 1 or 2 key things which you want. So do you want consumers to think about, let's say, purity and organic as the 2 things, or do you want it to think about flavor and something
natural, pure experience, trusted experience. So you have to go through, you have to write it, you have to look at, brainstorm, sleep over it.
You are everything. But you are communicating that one. See, I'm much more than a professor. I have left a lot of things. But when I'm talking to this audience, I'm only going to talk about that aspect of here. Logo, you have to keep in mind, one, it should reflect who you are. Two, it should be easy to reproduce. Okay, whether you're packaging, whether you're doing it on an outdoor wall painting, whether you're making it on a business card. If you make something very complicated, then that creates a problem. So practical things also you need to, it should be legally protectable, you should register, you should do a simple check saying something similar is there. If you are planning to sell in more than one area geographically, then you need to make sure it doesn't contradict or if there's a wrong interpretation in some other area. So these are simple checks, which you can do. And of course, like she said, reflect who you want to be.
You write down and then work. You can take a week, 10 days, sleep over each word.
I also have a company, my Asian Art House, and I'm an artist by profession. I'm an artist by profession. So, the brand for the logo which we used was an eye. Because an eye can be an eye for art, or the tagline we use is express your impression. And that has the logo as an eye, artistically created eye. So something like that, which can be, as she rightly said, it should be able to be done easily on your, the packaging material, on your website, on your Facebook, Insta, anywhere. Because then people, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's what a logo does. So it should be very easy to understand, and also at the same time be able to communicate to your consumer or the people who work for you. So I guess that is it.
No, brilliant.
This is like our logo.
It's very nice.
This is
and register it. Copyright protection is important. Somebody else starts using something similar,
it's registered.
Becomes very difficult. And in India we have you can use if you have a brand name which you built and somebody else wants to launch some other product in that brand name, unless you've registered it in that category, it's not protected. So you can have Nike umbrellas and Nike can't do anything about it. So be really careful on that front. And sometimes when you're small and you're starting up, you're not thinking of those things, But when your brand becomes a little recognizable, then you need legal protection.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for being here at the end of a very long day, once again. Okay.
Thank you. That was really wonderful. Thank you.
Can I come to shop picture together?
Sure.
I'll give you my card, but that doesn't have the new address.
Okay.
So if you just WhatsApp me, I'll send you the address. Just send me. We are right opposite.
Perfect.
So opposite Qutub Minar,
I'm going to
you'll
Olive
see
tomorrow.
so Olive is on the left. On the right, you'll see Cafe Coffee Day.
Yeah.
We are inside the same building as Cafe Coffee Day.
It's a stroke of luck. I'm going there.
You're there online as well?
No. So I want your number card.
Sure.
I want to sit and have a chat with you.
That was really useful.
Short session.
Thank you. The amount I've learned
When is it?
Time is good, except if I'm
The
in
amount
class
I've
or
learned
meeting, then
over
I'll
the
just
past
call
few
you back.
days has been like a crash course of an MBA class.
Too much of information.
Lots to discuss.
It's
been like an MBA.
I just joined.
आप खींच लेंगे फोटोग्राफ? एक फोटो ले ले, ladies, please.
Because I know your latest brand.
Yes. I joined towards the end. Is it okay?
Yes. Good, yeah. It's always good to have more the merrier. It's absolutely. Closer.
Wait.
ये किससे खींच देंगे प्लीज?
Even you can collect from social media.
हाँ जी.
Wait. Bismillah.
Wait. आप बात कर सकते हैं वीडियो में.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm Delhi.
Okay.